Many fans here in this
Hello and welcome back to MDG Media. We're looking at round 2 back 9 coverage from the last Euro Tour event of the season. It is of course the Andalucia Open, played in beautiful Chipiona, Spain. My name is Elias Luukkonen and I will be taking you through this back 9 just like I did in the front. We saw some incredible play from Silva Saarinen on the front, shooting 4 under in these relatively calm conditions. It's much better scoring conditions compared to round 1. Jenni Karppinen also playing better. Birgit Vider on the card from Estonia. And Aida, the local Spanish player, only Spanish player in this small field of 4 players. And we're moving on to hole 10. It's a true dogleg. Have to go straight for about 100 meters to start with OB left. And that Mando in the corner. You can't cut the corner tight to the right. And after throwing that 100-meter drive, you have a pretty simple approach with just a couple of obstacles. Let's see if Silva can keep the hot streak alive. It doesn't really look like it. Luckily for her though, she has kicked down to the fairway. If you go far to the right from the beginning, you can't even find that right side OB, though it's pretty rare to see. Usually the OB really comes into play either on that left side or on the second shot. And that was a beautiful drive from Jenni, perfectly down the middle. Birgit also challenging the right side, but just fading back. And that's gonna be perfectly fine there. Probably not long enough to have a great look at the basket. You do need to push this drive kind of far if you want to have a birdie, and this one is gone, I think. Yeah, for sure. It has gone over the fence, and of course, as it's private property on the right side, that will have to be OB. And Aida actually still has that Mando to contend with, so she can't really cut the corner, and this is looking like... yeah, that's fully okay. No, it has actually gone to the left side OB. Thought it landed on the grass. That's a pretty big mistake to go OB already twice. And now she's halfway down the fairway looking at the approach. She needs to hit something to not go OB left. On the approach there's that fence line on the right playing as OB, but also the cart path. Or just the walking path on the left. And that's a nice looking approach from Jenni. Well done there. She's gonna be outside the circle, but a pretty good look at the basket. Especially in these calm conditions. In round 1 there wasn't a lot of opportunity to make those long putts. But now that the wind is completely down, we have already seen a couple of long makes. Silva actually made 2 outside the circle putts in just 4 holes in a particular stretch in the front 9. So Aida was a little bit short, and Birgit surprisingly with the forehand. I feel like she has been pretty good with that forehand approach so far. And this is for the birdie. Good run. Very good run, able to get that Anheuser angle. I feel like that's kind of difficult, especially from that C2 range. Trying to get that Anheuser angle and also hold the line. As disc's not really going in the basket right now. And Birgit with a pretty long comebacker actually. About 8 meters left here. And she's not done it. It's gonna be a disappointing 3-putt on a green that's... while most of the greens on this course are very safe, this one being even a little bit easier than the other ones, with no OB near the basket. That's something we see so often on this course, is that almost always you have some sort of OB, either in the circle or at the very edge of the circle. And on this one you really can't find the OB while putting. Moving on, hole 11. 178 meters. Pretty difficult par 4. Drive is not particularly difficult to get to the fairway, but to get into a birdie position you have to throw it very far, miss all of those trees, and then on the approach getting so much more difficult. There's OB everywhere. OB long off the basket, OB right off the basket. There's really just a very tiny part of the green that is actually considered safe. And this is the common shot off the tee. That's actually very well thrown. Good distance and perfect position, with the fact that Silva is not going to have any sort of trees in the way. Jenni going much wider. Some would call that a safer shot. She's likely not trying to play for the birdie with that one, because if you want to go for the birdie, you really have to be in a similar position to where Silva is. And for example, Birgit here, we have seen her in the previous round laying up on this hole on the second shot. You do have some space from where she landed, still about 40 meters to go to the edge of the first part of the fairway. Of course, then you have to get over the water and into the OB surrounded green. So all three players besides Silva are really in layup position here, and just trying to get as close to the edge of the OB without actually going to the OB. And that's well done there. Aida will have a good look. And Birgit going pretty far to the right, possibly opening up more of a forehand angle. And Silva here, she's going for the green. This needs to get going. And she's gonna find that inbounds area. Not exactly inside the circle, but should be completely fine, as she's still not in trouble of getting the first bogey of the round. And talking about the bogey, looks like Jenni has much more of a chance of acquiring one of those. You can see just how difficult it is to get all the way to the basket here. You really have to push that OB and not fade too far left. This is challenging the water as OB, and it has done exactly that. So we're gonna see a lot of red on the scorecard. Silva even giving it a good run. There are just some days where you can see that a player is really dialed and really confident, and I feel like this is one of those days for Silva. Really nobody else on the card showing such signs of confidence. And even Jenni, who has been playing, she has been playing very well. And there you go. That's a sign of confidence there. But yeah, as I mentioned, Jenni still even par. That would be a great score in any other card, but kind of overshadowed by Silva's 4 under in the round. And surprisingly, we're all only gonna see 2 over the par scores on this one. Bogey for Birgit and of course that double for Aida. as this hole, don't look at the drone flight, we're actually playing to the left side of the river. You have that early Mando, so you have to go to the left side. This one playing as a par 4 rather than the par 3 shown on the screen. So after you have gone left of the river, off the tee, then we go back to the right side. Have to go over the river on your second shot if you want a chance at that birdie 3. It's a pretty tight green with that OB path on the right side, just about 4 meters away. And of course, as always, that river is also playing as OB. Silva there throwing a good shot. A lot of players are actually deliberately trying to hit the wall on the left side. That is really not a bad play, and Jenni here not gonna hit the wall, but she's gonna be fully okay with that position. This really doesn't matter if you hit the wall or not. It's just a nice bit of a safe, I would call that a safe play. And everybody so far in good position. And Aida there, kind of fading away, but as I mentioned, that wall is a nice backstop. So she still actually has a chance at the birdie from here. So this one is fading a bit away. She's gonna have a long look there. It's very interesting to see this hole being played with this FPO layout, since for the MPO it was completely different, playing as a par 3. People are just throwing kind of straight to the basket or a little bit short of it. But these players playing the first 2 shots pretty well, nobody really in the circle yet. And Birgit will not be either. Let's see if Silva can do it. This is a little bit right though. Needs to fade back to avoid that OB. And just barely does. She's gonna have a great chance to go 5 under on the round. As it looks pretty likely that everybody else will be having pars on this one. Unless, of course, Jenni can sink another one from outside the circle. That's not the case. There you go, dead center. 5 under on the round. This is looking like it's gonna be one of the better rounds of the year. Moving on. Hole 13, 185 meters. Usually played into a strong headwind. You have that river on the right, this Mando tree on the right, just there. And then you have that OB path on the left. So once again, you don't have much room left and right. Pretty much just have to stay down the middle if you want to be in bounds. And then on the approach, have that very late low ceiling in the form of a huge tree with huge leaves that are just extremely thick. And now that we don't have much of a headwind, it's much calmer of a day. These players can actually get some distance down there. And perfectly demonstrated there by Silva. And Jenni as well, pretty well done, though she might have some of those left side bushes to contend with. That's kind of the thing on this hole, you would really like to stay in the center. You can see the gap down there in the distance. That's kind of the line where you would like to land. Even if you're short of the gap, as all of the players will expect to be, you know, staying in line is just super important. And looks like this one is just perfect. Well done there from Aida. This needs to stay up. And that's good progress. Really, this hole, it is definitely birdieable. As looks like Jenni is looking to do. Oh, and that's so unfortunate. Hitting the random ladder in the middle of the fairway. That is one of the most surprising obstacles you can find on the course. Looks like her shot was gonna end up definitely within circle 2, possibly within circle 1. And Silva there, that's not her strongest shot. So Aida with a decent one just in circle 2. And from here, you can pretty much throw your shot as hard as you want to. Just put it under the leaves and throw it hard into the hillside. Pretty well done there from Birgit. And Silva actually had trouble with this shot yesterday, so I would really love to see her keep it low. And she's done it. Perfect shot there. She's gonna continue the bogey-free round. And it looks like we're gonna have just a lot of pars here. Expecting... Oh no! Whoa, that was a big miss. Luckily not going on the road, because that road behind the basket, just about 3 meters behind, is actually considered OB. So that will be the lone bogey for Birgit. And everybody else with just clean pars. No birdies, but it's a pretty long hole to get down there in 2 shots, especially with the first one having to be very controlled and the second one having that late low ceiling. Moving on to 14. You can see that it has been extremely windy in the past days from the drone shot. And such a good weather compared to those conditions. It was even some, well, I wouldn't say record breaking, but the wind was extremely tough in the practice rounds. A lot of people feeling that the wind was so tough that the practice rounds weren't actually too helpful even. But yeah, hole 14 here. Once again we have OB right, far to the right side to the bushes, and OB left on the cart path. You can choose to either go over the trees here, or hit that middle gap, just like Silva did. Pretty perfectly done there. It's a really difficult hole to reach. So playing as a par 3 at 125 meters, it's almost a little bit unrealistic to get all the way to the circle here. And you can see Jenni even, I believe, going with some sort of a fairway driver or even a mid-range just to get through the gap and try to play the hole as a par 4 rather than a par 3. That's a nice flight. Aida getting all of the meters from that disc. Still about 30 short. And Birgit, I believe she had the same mistake in the last round where she hit some of these trees early off the tee. And from here it's about 80 meters to go. So very reachable, although that release was a little bit off, putting way too much hyzer on it. Looks like that's kind of the miss she has with the forehand sometimes. You know, it's not yanking it over too much, but just the disc kind of slipping out early. And Jenni! What am I seeing right now? I'm sorry. When I said that this hole is not really realistic to get down there in the circle. I think I was correct, but clearly realistic to birdie still. Silva not quite as flashy, but I'm sure she's gonna be completely okay with the par there. As wow, I'm still just blown away with that shot from Jenni. It did look like she was kind of worried about going long. I believe she was probably not trying to throw it in, rather just trying to get down there for an easy putt. As our card is gonna finish even par in this one. Just one bogey from Birgit and that incredible throw-in from Jenni. And we're moving on, normally to the windiest stretch of the course. But today, probably not gonna be that windy. Looks like the whole course has been pretty calm as far as wind. So this whole 15, even with the slightly sloping fairway from right to left and OB right and left and long, of course in the form of that cart path on the, or just that walking path on the left and long, and OB fence and OB line along the bush line on the right. Super important to keep your shot low here. Don't really wanna put it too high in the air, just to avoid that fade away. And Jenni doing a pretty good job of that. She's gonna be just outside the circle. Good look here, and looks like even in this pretty calm day we do have some wind. As Silva once again with a good line, and she has parked the hole. What is going on? Silva is going to be 6 under for the round. Just a crazy pace, and this one is challenging that right side OB. Unfortunately has gone both over the bush and over the fence. Aida will have to pursue from about halfway down the fairway. And this is pretty heavy on hyzer, hopefully not going all the way to the water. And while it is OB, have to be a little bit relieved by the fact that Birgit will still get the disc back. You know, because if you go to the river is quite deep. It's actually quite surprisingly deep. You know, it's kind of 1.5 meters deep, so you're definitely not gonna see your disc from the top. And unless you're willing to go swim in the river, search for your disc, that is really the only chance you can get it back. So it looks like we're gonna have at least 2 bogeys. I'd actually even leaving her approach a little bit short. But here Jenni trying to get another birdie, not the case though. And she will lose the stroke she got on Silva on the last hole. As Aida will unfortunately have to take a double bogey. And Birgit with just a regular one. Silva still waiting to get down there to her disc. And what a great birdie that is. Only 3 holes left to play. And only 3 holes left from Silva Saarinen getting that bogey-free round. This one not being an easy one though. Not to par, especially not to birdie. It's OB extremely close. everything right of that white wall on the right side is considered OB. Everything left of that curvy, how could you call it? Curvy curb on the left side is considered OB. And also that path on the long side considered OB. So extremely tight. Some people even playing a little bit safe here, trying to not quite reach the basket, but rather leave it a little bit short. Silva, I believe, did go OB in the last round on this very same hole. And this time she has also gone OB, this time to the left side. But luckily for her, she's gonna have a putt from inside the circle to still save the par. And she was actually very close to staying in. If you're on that curb, you know, next to the gravel field on the left, you're actually considered OB. Whereas on most courses, if you're on the line of OB, you're not really considered safe. So for example there, Jenni's staying just barely in. She's actually gonna be on top of the curb, but still she's gonna be inbounds. And Birgit with, I feel like once again, kind of that early hyzer release. Luckily this time staying inbounds. And Aida here, this needs to get down before the OB, and it does. No problem. Everybody still in position for a par. And Jenni will even have a long look at the birdie. Good approach there. Should be no problem for Aida. And let's see if Jenni can hopefully make another highlight. And not quite good line. Good height, just a little bit short on that release. And Birgit, she has to make a highlight putt here for the par. And not quite the case. Good release once again, but just a little bit short. And Silva, actually a pretty difficult putt to save the par. But no problem for her. Still keeping that bogey-free round alive. Going bogey-free on this course is, I feel like that is super impressive. You know, there's so many holes where that OB is just so close to the basket. So close to the fairway, and a lot of kind of random things that can happen. Moving on to hole number 17. This one is actually played as a par 5, not a par 4, compared to what it says on the sign here. You have the OB on the right side, OB also on the left side, this time in the form of a line marked with flags. So on the right side it's the cart path. Really here you're just trying to throw a little bit downwards off the tee, have a good downhill grade, and as you're teeing off from this kind of a wooden deck, it's almost like a sun deck. So we actually have an opportunity to see some pretty long shots here. You can get a lot of distance off the tee. And looks like Silva will do exactly that. She's perfectly in the middle of the fairway. And good ways down there. That's gonna make the second shot so much easier. She doesn't have to get a lot of distance to still get up and down for the birdie. And Jenni there a bit safer. Trying to go pure hyzer off the tee. And Aida with a bit of a flip. Good distance. Believe that to be the longest drive so far. She even got that carry slightly to the right. And Birgit, of course, here going with a bit of a flip up. That's also well thrown. Everybody still perfectly in position for that birdie. This is one of the wider fairways on the course, so not surprising to see everybody in bounds. But kind of refreshing almost to see a fairway that doesn't have that OB, within 10 meters of the basket. That's a pretty good distance from Jenni. Don't need much more if you just want to get the birdie on this one. Of course, in theory you could go down there trying to get a chance at a 3. I'm interested to see whether Aida actually does that. It looks like she leaves it a little bit low. Probably didn't quite have the power to get down there. So this player is really playing this hole kind of how it was supposed to be played. Just trying to get down there and whoa. Birgit trying to break the formula a little bit and throw it in from about 60 meters. But not quite the case. She's still going to be inside the circle. And right now everybody looking like they're going to have a great chance at the birdie. And even better now from Aida. She's gonna have a good chance to get the first birdie off the back 9 for her scorecard. As Silva actually kind of overshoots it. Still gonna have to make a putt from around 7 or 8 meters if she wants the birdie. And Jenni here trying to go for the eagle. Once again a good line, a good height, just a little bit short. And Silva actually misses it. I wonder if that's the first inside the circle miss she's had this round. I can't remember any, as Birgit makes a good one perfectly on the pole. And Aida here, important stroke for the confidence. Well done there. And in a way I feel it's pretty funny that we're gonna have Silva playing one of the best rounds of the year, already 6 under, bogey free, and she's gonna be last on the box on this hole 18. And talking of hole 18, it's just a big open par 4. Have to throw your biggest hyzer off the tee. You can go a little bit wider or straighter if you want to, or you can go more left. Really depending on where you want to end up on this huge fairway. Really off the tee there is no realistic chance to find any sort of trouble in the form of OB. And the only OB you kind of find on this hole is on the second shot, that cart. Excuse me, it's not a cart path. I know I keep saying cart path, but that is just from watching so much coverage from the US and from the golf courses that they play. But that's walking path on the right side. So really off the tee you're just trying to get far down there, move a little bit left, and hopefully set yourself up for a long look at the birdie. Or realistically a lot of the players are very happy with just getting a par. So for example, both of those drives, while they are about 25 meters apart, really don't have much of difference between what's the opportunity of what they can do from there. Though this one is kind of sketchy with the Mando, but I believe just making the Mando on the correct side, Mando being that palm tree on the left side, and Silva here going very wide. No problem with that, of course, as she's still 10 meters short of that OB. Personally, I don't really like being that far on the right side, because then you have a lot of these right side palm trees to contend with. If you're more left compared to where Silva is, for example, where everybody else really on the card is, you have more room to swing it from, you know, kind of straight to the basket. You only have a couple of these palm trees in the very middle. That should be pretty easily avoidable. Though, unfortunately, Birgit was able to avoid the palm trees a little too well, turning it over into the right side OB. Aida hopefully learning from that, and she has very good par position there. And let's see how aggressive Silva goes here. Looks like she's trying to go for the birdie, and what a nice, well-driven shot there. Well played, but just showing off how much distance she still had left from that far right side. That's a good approach from Birgit. She's gonna have a simple bogey there. Same thing for Aida, but for par. And let's see if we can make some highlights here. First, Jenni from 25. Good line. Once again, she's gonna have an easy par. And Silva, this would be such a signature ending to the round. To go 7 under. And that's a little bit sailed. Still a pretty good run, and while she doesn't look exactly happy about that, I'm sure she's still a little bit stung by that miss on hole 17. Still, the round of 6 under is gonna be definitely the hot round of the tournament, and I would assume one of the better rounds she's had all year. And Jenni with a kind of a sneaky 2 under, just creeping under par in that back 9. Birgit and Aida kind of going more above, a lot of separation on the field in this round, but both of them also improving from last round, so that is nice to see. And we're gonna have pretty much a 2-horse race going into the final round. Thank you so much for watching, and my apologies for the late release of the video. We had some difficulty in the production. Thank you guys so much, and hopefully see you in round 3.